Service District Managing Board for Thursday, April 16, 2026. As usual, after the call to order, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please address the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. I will do the board roll call. Director Shoemaker. Here. Director Kelly. Here. Director Zook. Here. Director Stevens. Welcome back. Chair is present as well. We have a quorum. Ex officio Snyder was here a little earlier, but is currently not here. But we will, if he shows back up, we'll adjust the meeting record to let it know that he's here. We also have Administrator Holiday, Administrator Pop, Chief Rassick, Lieutenant Van Meter, and we'll get fire coming in here in a little bit. They are over at the fire safety show at the Shark, so which probably is a lot more interesting than this board meeting. And Susan, actually, for the record, if you wouldn't mind introducing our new friend.
Yes, Alec, he's taken over my position as Communications Director for SROA. Started Monday. Great. I'll be gone about June 1-ish.
Because they're
You will be missed, and you know that you've always been a good friend and a good ally to the district, and you faithfully reported everything that we have on this, and we appreciate everything that you do have done for the district, and everything that you've done for Sun River as well. So thank you very much for that. All right. At this time, I will call for public input. Is there any public input in the room? Seeing none, is there any public input online? Seeing none, we will move on to the agenda. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have 3 items on there. The March 19, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. We also held a special board meeting April 2, 2026, mostly involving our budget. And then we have a Deschutes County 911 invoice in the amount of $22,830.63. Don't forget the 63 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens. Director Zook.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Shoemaker.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes. We can move on to item 2 in our old business section, public safety building construction. And that's got my name on it. Yay. As everybody is aware, we voted to approve the final payment to Kirby Nagelhout. There are still a couple of small items that I know they're chasing around down here. And I still see a couple items of blue tape when I wander through the building. So hopefully they will all disappear at some point. But we are currently starting well, we've done most of the engineering, but we're starting basically an investigation and a bid process for some work that we had deferred on the building. Notably, there's some pavement, asphalt, and concrete work to be done on the south apron. And I know that former Director Ralston has graciously volunteered to come back and give us a hand on making sure that all the submittals and the architecture is correct. And then I did notice when I was giving some of our police chaplains a tour of the building today that the decon room floor was getting fixed, which is a nice thing to have. So public safety the building continues to get its little tweaks, but everything is going well. Any questions on that? Director Schneider, welcome.
How did the wildfire preparedness?
Okay. Huh? Was it good?
Well, it's only a third of the way over.
Oh, wow.
Was it a good turnout?
Yeah, there's about probably 30 people there.
Right.
And I talked to them to make sure that somebody is going to put it online so people can watch it.
Good. Appreciate that. Because we were all stuck here.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to item 3, the status of the SSD reserve study. I will turn it over to Administrator Holiday because there's progress.
There's movement. Yay. So I met with CERTA, the agency that we've been working with, and the draft was in your board packet. And so I will be revisiting the items with the chiefs. It's been a while since we've reviewed that. And so, and then now I'm able to gather some of the financial data that was needed as far as potential year-end balances for them to use as a starting point for the funds. It will be separated out into two reserve studies based on the 716 and the 717 funds. So one reserve part of it will be building items because that has a different beginning balance than the 716 capital items such as cars and different things through the district. So we'll be working on that. So basically I'm going to get them that info, work with the chiefs to make sure that the items in there are correct. And then hopefully we have a finalized version here in the next month or two.
Okay.
So this is nothing updated from, this is just the.
Right, it's just getting
Yeah.
it back on track,
Yeah.
and this was the most recent version, and so yeah, so I'll connect with them to get it, the chiefs to make sure all those things are still correct and updated, and yeah, move forward.
I did have a question from a citizen who saw the packet and was asking if the numbers in that draft were correct. And I said, no, and we're not entirely sure how close they are until we get the results.
Right. Yep, yeah,
But people are very interested in, what we need to be doing for reserves, as is, I know, the whole board.
mhm,
So excited to get that moving again.
yeah, and the final one will be a part of the packet when it's presented to the board too.
All right.
What's the estimate on the timeline for that?
I'm hoping in the next month or two. I mean, a lot of the work's done. We've been waiting a while on some financial data, and then also where certain projects were gonna lie in what fiscal year. And so I'm really hoping in the next month or two to have a final copy. I think the majority of the data in it is still correct. But we'll review that.
Great, thank you.
All right. Additional questions for Administrator Holliday on that? We're flying. We will move on to item 4, an update on the SROA rules and regulation as well as bike patrol contracts. Chief, your and my name on it. And I noticed you had something in your police report as well, that we did receive a communication from the Sun River Owners Association that they were not interested in pursuing the rules contract for this year. I know Administrator Holliday is in communications with SROA because there is some money that was already paid for bike patrol. And we're looking at how that, plus the first quarter of rules enforcement that we did do this year, balance out. And I expect that that'll get resolved, and we'll kind of check one way or the other pretty soon here. Chief, anything else you want to add?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as Chair Pfister alluded to, SSD did get an email from SROA on March 26th stating that they were choosing to move forward with the hiring of their own compliance officer and wish to discontinue the contract for rules enforcement and bike patrol. And I want to be very clear, this is not about an unwillingness. This is about a legal authority, and the ORS is very, very clear. Without that contract in place, we just simply don't have the authority to enforce HOA rules. Chief Boost and I have already met with SROA, with SROA management to ensure our working relationship and to underscore that it remains, it's the mission of both the district and SROA to see to the quality of life and the well-being of everybody that lives and visits here. Chief Boost and I have also reiterated that it is our commitment to the community, and it's unchanged. Though the rules moving forward are slightly different, by protecting the safety and ensuring the well-being of the residents remains our top priority. So again, we've already had some business meetings and with SROA, and everything seems, amicable. There's no hard feelings. We understand this was a business decision, and we will move forward.
And I believe you also already had a conversation with our volunteer citizen patrol as well, in terms of some things that they could be doing.
Yeah, thank you. And I have, at last week's Citizens Patrol meeting, I outlined how we are going to move forward, and we may lean a little bit more so on our Citizens Patrol, especially as it pertains to pathway safety. They too are very clear that the police department, the fire department no longer has the authority for enforcement. And they really are out there to inform and to educate and to act as those ambassadors.
Mhm. But Citizen Patrol did have a pretty good educating record of light and informative community contact. It's a good service that the district can offer. People are very willing to do it.
Quick question. So if Citizens Patrol or Patrol gets a call, I think Debbie Baker brought this up at the last meeting, noise complaint or something like that, we pass that information on to them. Is that correct?
Each incident is going to be handled on a case-by-case basis. And depending on the complexity and the nature of the call, there will be some degree of involvement between, whether it's the police department, the fire department, and the person who is calling it. We will make it is a portion of public safety, a community service, to make contact with them and let them know what's going on and how we're best going to resolve it. Two, we will notify, there will be some sort of notification over to SROA. And depending on the time of day and the availability of the compliance officer, there will be, again, it will be responded to accordingly.
So they have a compliance officer who can actually do some of the enforcement actions?
That's exactly why they hired him on.
Against our rules and regulations only,
Right.
obviously.
Okay.
But that person's gonna be weekday, daytime.
Yeah, right. There'll be limited.
The problem is Saturday night or whatever.
Yeah, some of the initial conversations with James Lewis, I think he said, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, Wednesday through Saturday, starting maybe working as late as 8 p.m. I don't know that
They
they,
haven't hired anybody yet. They haven't set up.
I don't know if they've set a time or day.
he was talking about kind of a flex work schedule to have him here in the evening and early nighttime hours,
It won't be at 2 o'clock in the morning.
not at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And I was just talking to our board president, and we're going to be talking about this tomorrow as well, again, with the whole board, and so I think we're still working on it.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but you know how I feel about it, but
Yeah.
we're still working on it.
Well, and we appreciate you being an advocate on both sides. You're doing your job very effectively and you're worth every penny.
I hate being the man in the middle.
Good.
And just to be clear, so that, this is a public meeting and we are on public record. Any issue that does involve public safety is still the purview of the service district and would be addressed by the service district.
Correct. And there are some instances that have been brought to me like, hey, what's going to happen if? And I know a lot of concern is around parking. If a car is off the roadway and parked in an area, again, that's not obstructing traffic at all, then it's going to be SROA. However, I know a lot of the complaints that we do get is a vehicle that's in the roadway and obstructing traffic or obstructing emergency vehicles. Well, that's covered in the ORS. That's absolutely something the police department can and will continue to take care of.
That's what I mean by case basis. Every incident that I learned in my career is different. You gotta address them differently.
Absolutely. All right, any additional questions?
Chief, what's the plan? Maybe you discussed it to communicate the change to the public.
Such a great question. And I am, as we have discussed, I think it's probably a good idea if we can put together a collaborative message with SROA that unifies where we stand today and how we're going to move forward. But again, I would be careful with the message. I'll just leave it at that. Again, I think it's a great idea. I just want to be careful that it doesn't look like anybody's pointing fingers at the other person. And that we are not rehashing how we got to where we are. This is how we are going to move forward, and this is how we're best going to serve the community together.
I want to make sure we're talking about process, not business. Because, what we're in the, we are in the business of public safety process, and let's drive that. And let's make sure that people understand how to best get issues resolved, because that's the best thing for the community.
I just had several owners approach me about that issue when I was at the fire preparedness thing about
People will want to know
What
what to do.
what they're supposed to do when they have somebody having a loud party in the next door, parking where they shouldn't.
I have provided information to all of the employees over at the police department as to how we are going to move forward, and some of it is going to be very much a case by case basis. And, but the message is the same, is our priority will remain service to the community.
It's one thing for people to have concerns. It's another thing for people to notice. And so let's minimize the latter. Let's just make sure that we're operating smoothly as two associate areas, two organizations together, to make sure that people don't notice that there's an issue.
I think I might disagree with that because they won't notice till it's a problem. They've got a problem. And now they have longer to maybe try to resolve that problem because they don't know what the process is. And so I would prefer, I think, to get ahead of somebody's going to notice, it's going to hit social media, it's going to become an issue, I think, at some point. There's going to be parties, whatever the deal is. We know what summer looks like. And if we can get ahead of it by laying out in a unified message about, hey, here's, you don't have to go into like the history or the contract or anything, just as we move forward this year, this is how you would address this sort of an issue. This is how you would address this. Police, of course, are always standing by for public safety. And if there's a question, maybe you would direct them to police first anyway. But I think that education will be helpful in advance of a problem kind of booming.
I think the key to that is the rules aren't going away. And they can be enforced. It's just the police department is not going to be the lead on that.
I think that because I've had this happen where I had to, because I have rentals on both sides of me, I had to call the rental agency. And their first response was, well, we're going to call the police. And at that time, I didn't know better, but now that might not have been their response, even though the cars were parked, I couldn't get into my own driveway, they were in the road. But maybe the
Police, you gotta call it their way.
so, but I mean, but the rental agency would have to know to do that too. That's why,
Well, when you say education,
that's part of
you
that.
need to do it across the board, multiple ways.
Exactly.
So that, because some people look at the websites, some people, whether it's letters, whether it's making sure all the rental companies know, we gotta make sure everybody's educated on it.
I think that's the.
I mean, we
Try to make the best of a bad situation.
we won't figure it out today. I think the intent is to make sure that we are, that we're adequately communicating the new process. And we have, again, a great communications department, and at some of our owners that do with that.
So I will reach out to SRA management to see if they are willing to work with us to put together, again, some sort of a collaborative message that talks about how we're going to best serve this community and move forward. And thank you, you're right. They're always going to call the police department.
Yeah.
And that's expected, whether it's a rules violation or an ORS violation. My experience is they will always call for two reasons. We always pick up the phone is number one.
Yeah, that's.
And we will always respond. So, and that's fine. And if part of our response is just the education component of, hey, this is how the community is choosing to move forward. This is going to be handled in-house by SROA. That's part of what we do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item 5. Any updates on the Caldera crosswater exchange and discussions? I will turn it over to Vice Chair Shoemaker and Director Stevens.
Actually, we've been waiting still, what we thought was gonna be a quick turnaround or fairly quick turnaround. I saw Mindy was kind enough to send out an email and you were reading my mind. And we did not get a response, I don't think.
From
Caldera?
From the attorneys who we retained
Oh, yeah.
to prepare a how-to and a review of applicable laws and how we can move forward. And if we can move forward, we thought we'd have a response by now, but they did warn us that because of the complexity of the issues, that it could be a little while.
Okay.
But that's where we stand.
So probably nothing, we don't have a timeline. If not next month, could be next month, it could be 6 months from now.
Don't know.
That's what I want to be. Okay.
Could be. Yeah. We expected it by now. We expected
I
it
thought so too.
within a week or two, and now we're beyond, so.
All right. Any additional questions for the director? If not, we will move on to item 6, which is the nominating committee update and the status of the board candidate nominations. It's got my name, but I can also include Director Schneider, who's also in the nominating. Thank you for serving on that. We closed yesterday, correct? So we closed the application process yesterday. We do have enough applications to fill the open seats if they are qualified applicants. I believe our next step, I think it's next week, we were going to meet to review the we have 2 applicants to review the 2 applicants. We won't discuss names yet, but we do have enough applicants to fill enough, and I'd even add, knowing, having seen the things, I think we have enough qualified applicants to fill the spot, but that'll be determined by the nominating committee. And just as a reminder, the nominating committee is an independent organization. It will review, interview, and make recommendations directly to the county. And the county will make the decision to move forward as needed to appoint to the board.
Well, when are we meeting next week then?
Okay.
Okay, what time? You got my Monday.
It should be on your,
Monday.
it's already on your
You
calendar.
can go in from the course.
Huh?
Your calendar from 11 to 11 a.m.
11 a.m. I'll see if I,
You'll be swinging to the clubhouse for a beverage at that point anyway, if you're fast, so. All right, any additional questions on that? All right, we're moving on to new business. Item 7 is our monthly chief and administrators reports in the ever entertaining round robin. We have Fire Chief Boost first. And I would like to note, thank you in advance for the report and for the rather depressing add-on that you threw on the backside of it that I'm sure you'll cover. The Forest Service report.
Oh, the drought. Yeah, well, I just wanted you to see colors, so. Thank you, Chair, board members. Sorry, I was at the Wildfire Preparedness Fair. We actually, I think we were tripled as many people as we had last year. It was packed. I want to thank the guys for being there. They did a great job. Lots of great comments having them there, so that was awesome. But yeah, we put out 50 chairs, and I think it was put out another 100 for the speaker. So yeah, it's packed, which was great. It was well received. So anyways, yeah, I gotta get back to here. Anyways, I'm super excited about that. You want to look at the dashboard. So total monthly calls for March, we almost doubled for last March. So ran a lot of calls in March. Which is great. So, well, keeps us busy. The guys do a phenomenal job. Turnout times, response times are pretty much similar. Training hours were a little bit down because we were busy running calls. Mutual aid given was about the same 6 as we did last year, which is all pretty much all down in the Pine area. And then we only received 1 mutual aid received, which is great, pulling our neighboring agencies down. So it's not a waterfall effect. So total calls for the year, we're at 104 compared to 89. So we're running higher than we did last year. And you can see that in the billing. So March of billing of last year, we were at 18.5, and this year we're at 36,000 for March. So our billing, ambulance billing went up. So any questions on the dashboard? Been working on the budget. I think we're going to wrap that up. I don't know, Chair, if you talked about what we've got going on with the building and the dry well and all.
I did mention that, and then I noticed that the decon floor was being done as I walked by.
Yeah, so the decon room or the decon floor has been, we basically cut out all the concrete. We dropped the drain almost 4 inches, so we've got quite a good slope on there. And then we'll do the coating in about a month. So we're just going to stay off of it. On Wednesday, we'll be able to use it after that, but it looks like it's going to be just fine.
Great.
So that's great news. And then we're working on the drywall. I really want to give a shout out to John Ralston and all the work that he's doing on the drywall project. He's been just instrumental helping, kind of help guide that project, and get that through that. So we're looking at re-engineering, maybe making it a little bit, longer on the south end of the apron so we can actually get the aerial in without having to back it up on Abbott Drive. It'd be great. So we're looking at cutting down a couple trees, and working through that. It'll actually make it better for the dry well, because there was some concern it wasn't going to be long enough because these dry wells go down to be able to take in all the water. So
The trees lodge poles, I hope.
there's some ponderosa there, so yeah, anyways.
The design review. I'm sure.
Patty was fine with them.
I just, well, it's for a different reason, obviously, than
No,
safety reason.
right. I'm not gonna get. Okay, I hear you. So like I said, wildfire preparedness fair, I think was excellent. K2 or Central Oregon Daily was there. They have a great speaker going right now talking about home to home ignition. So it really is relevant for a community like Sun River. And so great turnout. Everybody was really engaged and sucking in or taking in a lot of information, which was great. Chief Rassick and I met with Jason Jancy from SDAO a couple weeks ago, just kind of get to know Jason a little bit. Dave Pickard, spent some time talking with them about different things. We also, and I'll let you probably touch base on the chief on meeting with Ben Duda, Ashley and Rochelle. The SROA rules and regulations, had a long conversation with regards to that, and then attended the Central Oregon Fire Chiefs Association. Yesterday, we were invited, the county commissioners are looking at adopting a defensible space code that actually Oregon State Fire Marshal is going to get put through at the state legislature. There was a lot of conversation around that, about an hour and a half between the county commissioners. I don't think that they'll adopt the code because there's an enforcement component to that. And how do you fund that enforcement component? So I think where it's going to end up, it'll end up going to fire districts and seeing whether they would want to adopt them. I mean, once the defensible space code is adopted by the Oregon, was signed off by the governor, probably take it over to SROA and have them take a look at it, maybe change some of the rules and regulations within their rules and regulations for our community here. We're going to be meeting.
We're working on that already too.
Yeah. So once it's developed,
You're gonna be part of, obviously, we're all over it.
yeah. So it'll be, it's good work. Deschutes County is leading edge. We are definitely fire prone. And so that is one of the things that we're looking at is Sisters has already developed or adopted a fire defense or a defensible space code. So they're ahead of the curve. Ashland has one. So we're looking at it for Deschutes County. The fire chiefs will be meeting in a work session with the county commissioners to have more conversations about the fire or the defensible space code. So more to come on that, probably meeting around in June. GP Orvic's been working on this Central Oregon Wildfire School, which will kick off next month. So putting a lot of time into that. Had a wonderful case review by Dr. Murphy. He's just a phenomenal physician. I mean, I think that he's just extremely intelligent. And really the guys, and I'm so impressed with the guys because they know all the answers and everything else. And it's just wonderful that they're that educated. So it's fun to watch the interaction between the both of them. And then we've been working on wildfire pre-season training, which has been going off really well. No community events. Well, I guess we'll get wildfire preparedness fair today, but anyways, we didn't have anything else besides that. And then I went ahead and added in the drought information statement for out of Northeast Oregon, Southern, Central, and Central Washington. It's all of the state of Oregon, and you can go through there and take a look at it. Just showing you kind of where we're at. With drought, we have a huge concern going into the summer, especially with the amount of precipitation we've received and temperatures. And so it's just, it kind of shows you like where, snowpack conditions are, water supply, the fire hazard impacts, which is the one that I like to look at, where all the red is, and you can see Central Oregon is definitely in there. Pretty much cascades everything east to the Idaho border is, significant wildfire potential starting in June. Right now, we figure the fire season's going to probably start about 6 weeks early this year with what we have for the amount of moisture that we have. So instead of starting in mid-June, we're looking potentially could be around the 1st of May. That's kind of where we're headed at this point. Unless for some reason we get like we've had for the last couple of days and we get a bunch of precipitation and everything else. But so we're at the mercy of Mother Nature right now. So that's the end of my report. Any questions?
Thank you. Great. We will turn it over to Chief Rassick for our police report.
Thank you, Chair. And before I get started with my monthly report, I neglected to add the Citizens Patrol, their stats for the month of March. And they continue marching forward with 41 service hours, 10 house checks, and 36 public assistance contacts. But most notably, I think as everybody aware, is the recruiting for the Citizens Patrol is ongoing. And in the month of March, we were able to onboard 2 new members. Joseph and Patricia Irvin have joined the ranks. I met with both of them, and really, really fun people. We're lucky to have them. So a great addition to the Citizens Patrol. As far as the calls for service go, nothing really noteworthy, nothing stands out there. 547 calls, up from February, but very similar to what we had a year previous. 27 total investigations, 3 of which were outside of Sun River. And then again, 46 total calls generated in Caldera Springs and Crosswater. And similar to the last several months, most of those are proactive enforcement. There's not a whole lot of radio calls being generated or emergency calls for service. Of those 46, 3 of them were responded to by Sun River police officers.
Thank you for putting that in your report, by the way.
We've already kind of hit on the negotiations with SROA. As far as the negotiations with the Police Officers Association, Lieutenant Van Meter and I met with the POA board just this past Monday to restart that collective bargaining process. We had made, working through the end of last year and into January, we had made really good progress with the previous board. So I'm hopeful that we can continue with that momentum. The meeting was pretty brief, but we were able to reiterate the counteroffer that was made in January. And at this point, it's a waiting game. I will wait to hear back from them. We don't have any meetings scheduled. I think that they are kind of collecting their thoughts, and we'll wait to hear back from them. Recruitment and promotion is going well. We actually have 2 officers that have been given, 2 candidates that were given provisional offers of employment. Both of them are in backgrounds right now. And if all goes well, I hope to start onboarding with them maybe mid-May and late June. One of them has actually already been through the police academy, so that'll be a great service to us. Chief Boos hit on our meeting that we had with Deschutes County for updates to the some countywide emergency messaging. And I think everybody in the room is likely aware of the SR alerts system that we have. SR alerts is the push notifications that come out from Everbridge. This alerting system was adopted here in Sun River about 7 years ago. I believe we've only used it a handful of times. And I believe there's about 8,500 subscribers to that local system. Deschutes County is trying to standardize the emergency alerting system, and they're asking us in Black Butte. We are the only entities in the county that have our own alert system. They're trying to get us to change it from our SR alerts, just to rebrand it to SR info. They're trying to unify the message alert system throughout the county. So Chief and I are looking at some of the logistics that would happen and looking at the realities of how that would impact things here in Sun River. So that conversation is still ongoing.
There's an awful lot of things, especially over in our communications literature, that mention Sun River alerts. So we're gonna have, I mean, so that impacts us, SROA, as well as the rental companies who also do a lot of their own publishing.
That's going to be a point of conversation. Chief has put together a meeting for April 30th that will include a lot of the property management companies, and that's going to have to be discussed at that time. That's kind of one of the realities or logistics we're going to have to look at is how can we, or do we need to really recall some of the SR alerts subscriptions? It is believed, though I don't think it's been verified yet, that Everbridge may be able to take everybody that is currently subscribed to SR alerts and just simply transfer them into SR info, and which would be an enormous assistance. So again, still updates to come on that. And then the next 4 bullet points I have under the administrative update, that's kind of the boring stuff, but it means a lot to your police department, my police department. With all of the supervisory staff now full, we can get some work done that helps raise the standard over at the police department. We've been able to divide a lot of the components of the police department into just operations and administration, and then I've been able to assign those tasks accordingly. And as I kind of go through those next 4 bullet points, working with Lieutenant Van Meter, Sergeant Speck and Ball, as well as Executive Assistant Phoebe, we've been able to discuss and start making changes, defining new processes, including standardizing all of the patrol forms and updating some of the hiring procedures for new employees. We're building new systems for training and employee development, creating some training matrices that will outline some of the advanced officer training and making additional updates to the FTEP, our field training program for the new police officers. And improving accountability. We had an enormous backlog of items in our evidence room, which is now being filtered through, and creating new policies for items such as that, and creating another thing we were talking about is creating a workflow for crime reports that have investigative leads to make sure that that ball isn't dropped throughout the process. And we're following up on all of that. So that kind of highlights the administrative update, the operations. Very, very happy to announce that the drone program has been fully resumed and operational. They already have a couple of deployments under their belt. Also happy to announce that Officer Ardice was selected for the Deschutes County 13, which is the regional SWAT team. I thought he was the first Sun River police officer to have been put on that team. I'm being told years ago there was somebody else, but haven't confirmed that. I was able to.
Anyone else, I can't remember who.
Yeah, I'll find out. Attended the Northwest Leadership Conference, and then as far as some of the community engagement, Lieutenant and I went over to the Community Bible Church and met with them. We continuing with the station tours. Was able to attend the Kids Center, the luncheon up there, which was amazing. What a great resource for the community that Kids Center is. And then Lieutenant, on behalf of the police department, was able to attend the SROA Deschutes County meeting this month.
All right. Additional questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief. We will move on to Administrator Holiday for our admin report.
Thank you, Chair. So since our last meeting, still continuing developing and working on the budget for all 3 funds. And I did look at all the PERS information, registration maker that you recommended, just to, make sure that all that's correct, as well as the assessed county information for taxes. And then we added in the revenue for sold vehicles on that 7/16. So we'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute. And then, like we've already talked about, the reserve study, getting that started. We also held the first Finance Committee meeting. So the members that were on the SSD Budget Committee, when we found out that that was actually supposed to be the Deschutes County Budget Committee, to now a Finance Committee meeting, and the chiefs and I met with them and Treasurer Zook, and that was great to start talking about maybe some long-term strategies to assist the district for financial needs. More to come on that. As was requested, starting to evaluate what the administrative materials and services versus the building. So I'll have more information for you on that next month. And then the 6-year financial projection with the updates to the budget and getting that finished. I did meet with Piper Sandler, a representative who's been at quite a few of the Finance Committee Officer Association conferences. Noah met with him about potential investment opportunities for the district, just to try to find another way to earn more interest on revenue, and with the limitations we have being a public agency. But he did some analysis and just based upon where current interest rates are, it's not really feasible. The return is not really worth the amount of capital that would have to be pulled offline in order to make that happen. But I'll keep working with him, and as things change, maybe that's another opportunity for the district. Then there's the working with some of those PERS related issues that are ongoing. Then payroll and cash management, as always. I also met with Deschutes County as far as the health insurance option. A couple of years ago, we brought up the idea of potentially moving to Deschutes County health insurance. And so I met with them just to kind of see financially if that would be feasible for the district. So I'll continue working on that. And then starting to update the employee handbook with some required changes with that. And then meeting with the nominating committee, and then executive assistant Rachel Pop was great in getting a trash can, and we will have a seating area out front too that the fire department has so graciously offered to help put together for us early next week. And then thank you also everyone for coming and doing the photos so we can have them in display in our lobby. And then I also worked with Susan. There's a website, Susan, forgive me, what is it? sunriveremergencyinfo.com that SROA has been managing for many, many years. And so that is going to be redirected now, the URL to the emergency preparedness page on our website, because it's basically the same information. And then with any updates with emergency preparedness, that'll be easier for us to change as well. And then lastly, just working on the annual best practices program to get the return on our property insurance. And that's why we have the updates to the public meeting policy, as well as video to watch later today.
Okay. On the health insurance runs on a calendar year, right?
Our health insurance actually runs on a fiscal year.
It does run on a fiscal year.
Yeah, but Deschutes County is on an annual year. So it's just very preliminary stages. Again, I think prior, when we brought up this conversation, making sure that it's equal benefits and, there's no negative impact there. But also there was discussion about how to, the July 1 to December 31st deductible payments, transfer over for employees that have already paid that portion and willing to accommodate that. So, just really make sure there's not any negative impact to the employees as far as health insurance coverage, but could also potentially be cost savings for the district, considering the 6 to 10% increase every year the last few years. So just something I was directed to look at, and I'll bring more info once I have it.
I got a couple other options that we'll come and talk with you about. Right, additional questions for Administrator Holliday? Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the totally riveting budget part of the agenda. We're on to item 8 to discuss and approve our operating fund 715. So just as a reminder of the process for all 3 of these funds, The district board has oversight of finances. Our motion would be to approve moving the finances forward to the Deschutes County Budget Committee. And the Deschutes County Budget Committee will meet the second week of May. We will present there and the Budget Committee will actually approve moving those forward to the county for final approval. So the Budget Committee is effectively the approving body for our budget. But what we will be doing here is recommending to move forward to that. So let's, we did have a special meeting on April 2nd, where most of us were here and had answered some questions on the 715 budget. Administrator Holiday, is there anything you want to note? I know there's a couple of minor changes since then, but is there anything of note that we should discuss before we approve and discuss, or before we discuss approval?
No, I don't think there's been any huge significant changes since the last time you reviewed it on April 2nd. Just, a few little tweaks, got a final estimate for workers' comp, but that was only within a couple thousand, just little pieces like that. So it's fairly the same if anybody has any questions.
Thank you for putting those notes in there too.
Yeah.
So as a reminder, we're looking at a 715 budget, and right now, from a budget perspective, and again, realities, as you can see, and the actuals are usually very different. But from a budget perspective, we are presenting a budget to the county that eats about 240 and change thousand into our operating funds. We do still have significant operating reserves. And that is something that we'll be looking at in our 6-year projection to figure out how we proceed on operating reserves to make sure that we continue to make those healthy, in the very least through the building levy. That's the 6-year projection. So questions on the fund or any of the details of it by the board? If there's none, I would entertain a motion to approve moving our 715 account to the county budget committee.
We do so.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens,
Yes.
Director Zook,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Shoemaker. Chair votes yes, motion passes. On to item 9, Fund 716 budget. Same process, Administrator Holiday, anything that of note that I don't think there's been any changes in this since our last discussion.
Correct.
So in just, I guess the one thing as a note, since public meetings are public meetings, we are including in here a requirement charge for our upgraded ambulance. It is not expected that we will get the ambulance this fiscal year or fiscal year 27. But on the off chance that we do, we included it in here. If we don't get it, then that money just carries forward. All right, so any questions or observations on the 716 fund? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve moving that Fund 716 to the Budget Committee.
Go ahead. So,
We got a motion. A second.
I'll take the second. How's it?
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens?
Yes.
Director Duke?
Yep.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes. And then on to item 10, Fund 717. Fund 717 is currently used for building projects, and it is also the tax collection for our building levy. And it pays the proceeds for the loan, which again has about 6 years left. And again, no changes to this from our discussion on April 2nd. All right, any questions or observations? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve Fund 717 to the Budget Committee.
I move.
We'll give Kent the second. He's just the second guy.
I'll do the second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens,
Yes.
Director Duke,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Shoemaker,
Yes.
and chair votes yes, motion passes. Have you gotten a time yet? For the 14th?
I believe it's 11 a.m.-ish.
Yeah. So late morning of Thursday, the 14th, the district will be in front of the Budget Committee. All are welcome to attend, and I believe Administrator Holliday, you'll be coordinating the
Mhm.
budget narrative as well as material and then anything that we want to present. The whole Budget Committee process is just totally riveting. I highly recommend that if you have nothing better to do and a large case of insomnia, to feel free to attend the meetings. I'll be there for 3 days, so come and say hi.
May 14, is that right?
Yeah, May 14.
Min, can you forward a appointment?
It's usually us and Blackview kind of do the round robin as to who goes first. 4-H is always there. We are part of the county budget. We are considered, and I can never remember the term, but since we have our own board and we drive our own oversight, we all kind of show up on the last day and present our approvals. All the others public safety will have gone before a sheriff's office, 911. Being true county districts, they're usually done the day before. And then we haul everybody in and do the final approvals. All right, forward to running that meeting, Bill.
Are all of the meetings open to the public?
Yes. Yeah, the budget committee, they will be meeting Tuesday, the 12th through Thursday, the 14th. It's actually a 3-day cycle, and it's going to be probably 9 to 5, maybe plus a little every day. Again, riveting stuff. But it moves along. I will give you that. All right. We're going to push item 11 to the end of the meeting for a couple of reasons. One, Director Schneider, you don't need to sit through it. And so we're saving you for that. And then actually at some point I will be handing the meeting to Director Shoemaker. I have an appointment in Redmond at 3. So I'll be listening to the meeting as I blitz up there. So we will push item 11 to the end. We will move on to item 12, which is our required updates to the SSD policy section 4 agenda, which covers agenda and meetings. And I will turn it over to Administrator Holliday to explain what we're doing. So we were reviewing today to approve next month, correct?
Correct.
All right, take it away.
So the Oregon Government Ethics Commission now manages public meeting policy for the state of Oregon. And so that's why we have a couple of these changes today. One is that they stated there were updates to the public meeting law video training we did at our November board work session, so that didn't qualify. Then now we have to watch the new one. So we'll be doing that a little later. And then there were also updates they wanted us to make to our policies regarding public meetings. So you can see in your packet that I included the red line version. So everything in yellow is new and the red line. And then I also added in a clean copy so you can see what it would look like. And so we'll be reviewing this today, and then we'll have it next month to approve as part of policy updates. So as you can see, a lot of it is the same information, but it just goes into a little bit more detail. There's also a whole section about meetings being held by electronic means and just other little updates saying in the public meeting policy why you can only have executive sessions and really listing out the different ORS statutes regarding the compliance with that. There's also a section now with interpreters for hearing impaired, and then other updates that you guys can see through the draft. It's pretty self-explanatory, but if anybody has any questions,
So no more smoking during meetings.
there's no more smoking.
That was the first one. And then I did have a question on section L in adjournment. At least to me, the way it's written says that we don't vote to adjourn, we just motion and second to adjourn.
Yes, you're correct. So we don't actually have to vote.
Okay.
So, yes, so a couple, that would probably be the only change in process. Still doesn't hurt if we want to take a vote, but that's not what. So, yeah, so that just, how the standard of just presenting something that we want to, the board needs to vote on. We present it in one meeting, gives the public an opportunity to see it, come to the next meeting if they'd like to voice any comments, and then vote on it at that meeting.
And then at least in terms of these changes, we're pretty much complying to the change or to the changes of the markups already.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So, and then in addition, this also goes with the SDAO best practices program where we get percentage off our insurance based on different items. And so this definitely helps out, as well as this training video we'll watch at the end of the meeting.
And we could definitely use some discounts on our insurance. It's pricey. Worth every penny, but
Yeah.
pricey. All right, additional questions or other questions on the policy or processes? All right, these are in the public packet. Anybody in the public viewing the meeting does have the ability to access the packet and ask questions. Those questions can be referred to our district personnel, and we will vote on the changes next month. We will then move to item, where am I? 13, our March 2026 unaudited financials. And I will turn it over to Administrator Holliday. I'm sure with able support of Treasurer Zook.
There you go.
So in front of you, you have the March unaudited financials. To start out with revenue, you could see, we keep trickling in property tax revenue. The one area that I wanted to point out, and Chair Pfister already mentioned, that we received the bike patrol payments from SROA in one payment for the fiscal years per the contract. The rules and regulations would come in two payments. So we get one in July and another one in January. And so I sent to Joe and James an update on separated out about how much the contract return for the bike patrol, but then also subtracting out the January, February, and March rules and regulations enforcement that we hadn't received for that payment. So hoping to get some clarity on that here soon. Otherwise, revenue, there's really not a lot to report. Everything seems to be coming in for the district. Then as we move into the expenses, we're at 75% of the fiscal year. And so you'll see that the police department salaries and benefits are below budget for the year. And then there wasn't really anything huge to highlight for police as far as expenses. Public education supplies, I think, was up a little bit, but as you can see, the total budget is less than 2,000. So of course that distorts the percentage, but otherwise the total M&S for the police department is well below budget. So nothing of concern there. As far as fire department, looks like the salaries are right on track and the benefits are just a skosh above where we should be, but nothing too serious. As far as materials and services, that's still tracking below budget. And then as far as the personnel costs, that separate document that I have with the conflag reimbursements, you can see that overtime, when you pull out the conflag overtime that we get reimbursed for, the overtime percentage is only at about 58%. So it's well below budget. So if you put that data in with the benefits, then I'm sure overall the benefit section would be
Good job in managing overtime, Chief.
Let's
Talent pool that they can work up.
Good job at being talented, department.
bike patrol, no movement in that account. And then administration, the salary and benefits are below budget. And then the only thing I wanted to highlight in materials and services is that transfer to the reserve fund of $150,000. I'll probably be doing that in May, once I do the reconciliation of payments from that account out of 715.
That's what, I mean, we have a budgeted, reserve transfer that we're gonna do, and that's the 150,000, but let's put an item on the May agenda to actually discuss, reserve transfer in total.
Okay.
Especially since we don't have one budgeted for next year. If we do have some surpluses, I think it would determine if we want to, and maybe cover some of the items for next year. The district should be very proud of the fact that it has healthy reserves, and while I don't want to hold a bunch of taxpayers' money for no reason, I do want to make sure that we are covering some of our purchases. So I think it'll be a useful discussion for next month.
So with that, materials and services for administration are well below budget as well. So overall, you can see on the last page, the 715 fund is at about a 67%, which is great. That's well below budget. The capital fund, I believe most of the things have come in and been invoiced at this point for capital projects for the year or purchases. So I'll be reconciling that account, and they all came in either on or below budget. And then 717, we still have roughly, I'm going to include that, but enough funds if we need to do that south apron or that drywall chief this fiscal year. There's funds available. If not, it went into the budget for next year to account for that.
Yeah, we've got it, but I'm not anticipating at this point that we're gonna have a lot of expenses this year, but we shouldn't need to do any adjustment. It's just mostly an undercount, right?
Yes. Yes, but if we expend more next year, if the quotes come in higher than what we budgeted, then we'll need to do a budget adjustment.
Yeah, let's just not do.
Yeah. But with that being said, all the funds look to be doing well, and 715 overall being under budget. Are there any questions for the March financial?
Okay, any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve our March 2026 unaudited financials.
Good. Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. Director Stevens? Director Duke?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion passes. All right, we are on to item 14, the March 2026 SROA board meeting. I'll turn it over to Director Schneider to lead us through that.
I'll address the joint meeting with the Chuth County Commissioners as well.
Thank you.
I was surprised there was only 3 owners in attendance at that, which I thought was interesting, considering the commissioners were there. Not many items. We talked about the new circles going in at the business park and at Spring Road and South Century. Everybody knows they're going to go with the barbell idea, and put flashing signs at the pedestrian crossings. It's kind of the best one I think they could come up with as far as practicality and safety.
Yeah, I think it was a very low option that we were ever going to get a tunnel.
The biggest problem was the flooding issues.
Yeah.
As well as the safety issues, right? You're gonna have Three Rivers kids doing whatever under there after school. So, yeah, it would have been nice from a safety standpoint and ease the traffic, but there's too many other issues.
And that's, I'll see it in the packet, but that's still targeted for about 2.5 years out, right? I think we're
They're gonna start winter of 26, 27.
for Spring River or for the barbells?
Spring River first.
Yeah, for Spring River. I was gonna say the
Barbells will probably be another year.
barbells are probably 28.
Yeah, probably 28. Yeah. We updated them on our fiber optic TBS, which is going very, very slow. But going, I got hooked up. TDS is not very communicated with owners, but it's getting done slowly.
I have a nice orange pipe on the side of my house.
You haven't been hooked up yet, though? They're not coordinating well. One problem is they send emails out, they're going to. I see, if you see somebody who's wondering what's happening, maybe they got the email. If they're working in your neighborhood, they're working in your neighborhood. If they haven't got to all the neighborhoods yet. Get in there slowly.
Email?
No.
Yeah.
You got an email?
Nope. I'll double check, but yeah,
Yeah, where you at?
up by Jim.
Up at Kingwood.
Northwoods.
Oh, I don't know which way the problem we're having, and I feel sorry for our members of the SROA, because they're getting calls from 4,000 different people saying, well, when are they coming to my house? When they, and there's so much we can do. But it's getting there. Slowly but surely. And you already talked about before that about the county, the home hardening and wildfire protection efforts they're doing. And somebody brought up another business about water quality in the river. Shoots River, and that's a lot from the Three Rivers area. From people that have septic tanks still that were been in a long time ago, and they're learning about the leakage into our river from there.
Randy, was there an intent to test or?
This is just something that they brought up there.
Ah.
This is like other business and somebody brought it up as an issue. I hope that they're gonna
Yeah.
do some sort of a testing and at some point require people to.
This is literally flowing downhill. The DEQ is hitting the counties, who is hitting the sections of the county, who is hitting the individual homeowners. I mean, it's less of an issue because we have a water system, but it could be more of an issue because we have the only water system in the area.
And us, that we were talking about, it was
Yes.
south of us.
If there's a sudden need to hook up to a sewer system,
They're gonna start looking,
there's one available.
they think so.
Yes.
We'll speak.
Yeah.
Let's see, the work question, something interesting somebody brought up was, golf course netting. And people have nets by their houses to keep golf balls from hitting them, and right now the rule is that you have to take them down during the winter. That, what do you know, some people go on, especially the north golf course, and go out and play around with golf balls when the course isn't open. And so people are asking to put leather netting up year round, which is debatable. There's a site issue, the cosmetic issue of having a negative. But nobody wants golf balls in their house either.
You just train a buddy to go fetch the golf balls.
Oh, we already does. I got more golf balls than I'll ever use.
And golf's a 4-letter word in SOA right now, I'm sure you all know. Somebody else brought up the sewer fees, concerned about, because I guess there's different control for sewer fees than for water fees.
Mhm.
And they think that
They're
they're,
different entities.
yeah, well, they're, yes, they are and they aren't. And I think we're being, so we're looking into that. Pathway Safety Task Force, they're putting in some of the new crossings with the lights. So you've seen the one already down at the B circle, the A and B circle down by the. And put another one in at, Lucky Chucky's ski areas for there.
I'm sorry, what's going in there?
Crossings, pedestrian crossings, and with the little signs,
Blinking lights.
blinking lights to make it safer, place where there's a lot of traffic. As well as a new crossing at the north side. I mean, across Cottonwood.
Great.
Randy, if I can, on that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's been some communication between SROA and the police department regarding speeding vehicles that are going in towards the village on Beaver. And so, in fact, I work with Mark. We're going to be moving the speed board that's currently on Beaver right at the intersection of Theater going north. We're going to actually flip that around and put it out somewhere in the proximity of the Shark to slow people down coming in towards the village.
Yeah, that'd be good. And thank you for putting your sign up by the Cottonwood there that's there right now, because that's one of the worst places in some rivers where people coming down that hill, especially workers in the morning. I think I've mentioned before, the member pool, people are fighting to have it open for longer periods for swimming or general. We're gonna do a trial this year. Or in September, and see how much use there is and see if it's worth expanding or if it was a waste of time and money to expand it. So kind of an experiment this year. Fire protection work group, We talked about that on Thursday and we approved that on Friday. We're gonna go forward with that one. Capital transfer fee, getting closer. We're still obviously, there's gonna be some pushback against that, but we're looking for a way to fund our reserves and future projects without having to go to owners for every time. Plus about having a capital transfer fee, negative if you're selling your house, obviously, but is that right now we have a problem with, all the pickleball players want money spent on pickleball courts, but if non-pickleball people don't. Whereas a capital transfer fee, it would spread it out. Everybody has their own, what they want to have done, and would give us a fund for doing that, rather than trying to go to the owners every time we want to do a project. But there'll be an education and a marketing program that has to go on with all that. We had a club recognition issue with the Sun River Republicans wanted to start a club. There was a lot of debate among all the board members about one problem is, getting political involvement. My suggestion was that we'll just make it a general political thing. Any politics would be there. In the end, on Saturday, nobody brought up people that were in favor of it to have it voted on. So it kind of died. We're interviewing for the compliance officer. Hopefully that'll come out pretty soon. We have a new communications person. I haven't met you yet. I'll reach you tomorrow, okay?
Yes. When we did introduce him today before.
I did, yeah, before I got here, okay. So then you're way ahead of me then. That's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Director Stein? All right, thank you for the reports. All right, at this point, I am going to hand the meeting over to Vice Chair Shoemaker, and I will pop out of here before I turn my phone on and create an audio mess. We will go back to item 11 on viewing of the EC updated public meeting law class. I appreciate everybody watching this. But I was gonna say, I don't think we don't need staff, so y'all are excused. Director Schneider, you're excused. Anybody else that really doesn't want to watch the riveting video other than the board is excused.
I've already seen it.
That's what I figured out. I had to see it. I had to see it.
Since February?
No, I saw it because I'm on another, I'm a planning commissioner for City of Gresham.
Great, so you saw it since,
I had to see it, yeah.
okay, yes,
I had to sign off.
okay.
I'll watch it again. It's okay.
You don't have to, Ken, it's fine.
Yeah, I did.
Too.
Don't you bad.
I had to sign my life away.
All right, Jim, we'll see you.
All right, thank you. I'm off to watch drone races.
I'm gonna move down.
I'll say hi.
Oh, yeah, say hi to Steve for me.
Yeah.
Everybody's leaving.
The open for came to you, you're.
Thank you.
Open meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Hope so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. The brewery.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone.
An executive session is described by Oregon's public meetings law as any meeting or part of a meeting of a governing body which is closed to certain persons for deliberation on certain matters. However, in order to be legal, an executive session must meet some very specific criteria, and in most circumstances, news media must still be allowed to attend. The news media must be given access to nearly all executive sessions, although the governing body may declare through the presiding officer that certain information not be reported. Without this stipulation, the news media may report all information in the executive session. In addition, the news media may also report any information that is not part of the legal reason or reasons that the executive session was called. If any person at the executive session is attending by phone, video, or another electronic means, The governing body must let the media attend that way as well. Notice requirements for the time, location, and agenda of the executive session are the same as an open meeting and must include the legal provision or provisions from Oregon law that would allow an executive session. Notice should be provided to the public, interested persons, and the media. If the meeting is only going to be an executive session, the notice for it must, in addition to the regular requirements for notice of a meeting, also include a citation to the specific statute authorizing the executive session, as well as a general description of that statute. If the executive session is a part of another meeting, the presiding officer must identify and describe the specific statute authorizing the executive session before entering into it. This must be done in the portion of the meeting that is open to the public and has to be done before entering into the executive session. Steps for convening an executive session as part of a meeting open to the public. Determine whether a reason exists to exclude any member of the news media. A public announcement must be made citing the specific statutes and the topics that will be discussed. Instruct the news media, if present, what information may not be disclosed. Informing everyone when the governing body of the public body will return to public session. Take minutes or record minutes as required. End the executive session by letting the public back in and notifying them that the meeting is now public. Executive sessions may only be held when permitted by a specific provision of ORS 192.660 or other state law authorizing an executive session. Each prerequisite and requirement of the specific provision of ORS 192.660 must be met before an executive session may be convened. The topics discussed in an executive session must be limited to those topics expressly permitted by the specific provision under which the executive session was convened. Members of governing bodies may not discuss topics in executive session other than those delineated in the law, even if the additional topics are related to the issue concerning which the governing body convened the executive session. Each prerequisite and requirement of the specific provision of ORS 192.660 must be met before an executive session may be convened. Governing bodies cannot use an executive session to negotiate compensation, including salaries and benefits, or for the purposes of evaluating a chief executive officer or other officer, employee, or staff member. To conduct a general evaluation of an agency goal, objective, or operation, or any directive to personnel concerning agency goals, objectives, operations, or programs. To consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent under ORS 192.660 2A. This provision allows a governing body to meet in executive session to consider the initial employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. When considering the employment of an agent, this refers to an individual person, not a firm or company. This provision does not authorize decisions, deliberations, or discussions of other employment actions, such as performance evaluations, complaints, discipline, termination, or the extension of an employment contract. The discussion of compensation, including salaries and benefits, must not be discussed or negotiated during an executive session held under this provision. The governing body cannot use this provision for the employment of the chief executive officer, other public officers, employees, and staff members of a public body unless the vacancy for the position has been advertised, regular hiring procedures have been adopted. In addition, if the employment is for a public officer, the governing body needs to provide the public with an opportunity to comment on the filling of the public officer's position. It is not required that the public be given an opportunity to comment on named candidates for the position before the executive session is held. For chief executive officers, the governing body has adopted the following at a public meeting where the public has had a chance to comment on hiring standards, criteria, policy directives. The exception in ORS 192.6602A does not apply to the filling of a vacancy in an elective office, the filling of a vacancy on any public committee, commission, or other advisory group, the consideration of general employment policies. Governing bodies can meet in executive session to consider the dismissal or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent who does not request an open hearing. ORS 192.6602B. Or to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. ORS 192.6602I. However, before using either of these provisions to meet in executive session, the public official must receive written notice of the meeting no less than 1 business day or 24 hours, whichever is greater, in advance of the meeting. The written notice must include identification of the governing body, time, date, and location of the meeting, purpose of the executive session, including citation, and governing body will be considering the dismissal or disciplining of, hearing complaints or charges against, or reviewing and evaluating the performance of the public official receiving the notice, and information on how public official may request open hearing. To conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. ORS 192.6602D. Labor negotiations with the employees negotiator shall be conducted in open meetings, unless negotiators or both sides request that negotiations be conducted in executive session. Labor negotiations conducted in executive session are not subject to the notification requirements of ORS 192.640, ORS 192.6603. To conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. ORS 192.6602E. To consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. ORS 192.6602F. To consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. ORS 192.6602H. The attorney must be present at the executive session, in person, by telephone, or other virtual means. OAR 199-040-0050. To consider matters pertaining to the function of the medical staff of a public hospital licensed pursuant to ORS 441.015 to 441.119 and 441.993, including, but not limited to, all clinical committees, executive, credentials, utilization review, peer review committees, and all other matters relating to medical competency in the hospital. ORS 192.6602C. Conducting preliminary negotiations on trade matters when in competition with governing bodies in other states or nations. ORS 192.6602G. Considering matters related to the safety of the governing body, public body staff and volunteers, and security of public body facilities and meeting spaces. ORS 192.6602O. Discussing cybersecurity infrastructure and responses to cybersecurity threats. ORS 192.6602P. Negotiating with private entities regarding a possible purchase, transfer, or sale of public investments. ORS 192.6602J. Or discussing information about the review or approval of programs related to the security of nuclear plants, transportation of radioactive nuclear material, telecommunication systems, data transmissions, or the generation, storage, or conveyance of electricity, gas, hazardous substances, petroleum products, sewage, or water. ORS 192.6602N. Relevant to special districts, media can only be excluded for two reasons. If the media organization is party to litigation involving the public body, members of that particular organization may be excluded, or strategy sessions with the public body's designated labor negotiator. If you believe a media person meets one of the circumstances, consult with your legal counsel prior to the meeting. While deliberation may occur and a preliminary consensus of the governing body may be reached in an executive session, any final decision, vote, or action must be made in a public session.
Oh, no. We have to answer the quiz? Next section.
Congratulations, you have completed.
So what happened to the serial meeting part of this?
We haven't got there yet.
Oh, good Lord.
So that was in part one.
That's part,
Just the first part.
still being recorded.
While the meeting does not have to be recorded verbatim, the governing body must take minutes, whether written or electronically recorded, that accurately represent matters that were discussed. The meeting minutes or recording should at least contain the following: members present, the substance of any discussion on any matter, a true reflection of the matters discussed at the meeting, as well as the views of the participants, all motions, proposals, resolutions, orders, ordinances, and measures proposed, and their disposition. The results of all votes, and for public bodies of 25 or fewer members, the vote of each member by name, and a reference to any document discussed at the meeting. The minutes should be made available to the public in a reasonable time frame, and per the Public Records Law, the public body may charge members of the public a reasonable fee for duplicating the minutes or recordings. As an additional note, minutes or recordings of meetings held in executive session must be kept. They must contain the same required information as a regular public meeting. However, they are not required to be made public. Effective September 2023, the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, OGEC, has the authority to enforce Oregon's public meeting laws. Individuals who believe a governing body has acted in violation of the public meetings law can file a grievance. The grievance must be written, must be filed within 30 calendar days of the alleged violation, and must be filed with the public body involved. The grievance must include the name of the governing body, the date of the alleged violation, specific facts and circumstances, the date the grievance is filed, and the name and contact information for the person filing the grievance. The public body shall accept grievances that are filed through in-person delivery during regular business hours, by first-class mail, and by email. In addition, the public body may accept grievances by any other means it deems appropriate. A public body shall post on its website the person and contact information to whom a grievance may be submitted, and the regular business hours during which in-person grievances will be accepted. In the absence of a designated person, a grievance may be submitted to the public body's chief administrative officer or to the chair of the governing body. If the public body does not maintain a publicly accessible website, the public body shall provide notice of the person and contact information to whom a grievance may be submitted, and the regular business hours during which in-person grievances will be accepted, in the same manner that it provides notice of its public meetings. If a public body receives a written grievance, the public body must, within 21 calendar days, provide a written response to the person, including the following: acknowledging the grievance was received, either denying that the facts and circumstances as set forth in the grievance accurately reflect the conduct of the governing body, and setting forth the facts and circumstances as determined by the public body, and the reasons why those facts and circumstances do not amount to a violation of the public meetings law. Or admitting that the facts and circumstances as set forth in the grievance accurately reflect the conduct of the governing body, but denying that those facts and circumstances amount to a violation. Or admitting that the conduct of the governing body amounted to a violation of the public meetings law, and setting forth the steps the governing body will take to cure the violation, which could include, but are not limited to, rescinding the decision taken by the governing body in violation of ORS 192.610 to 192.690, or acknowledging in a properly noticed and conducted public meeting held within 45 days of the governing body's original decision that the original decision was made in violation of the public meetings law, and that good cause exists for the governing body to not rescind the decision, and that the governing body's practices will be modified to ensure future violations of public meeting law do not occur. As part of its response, the public body must send a copy of the written grievance and the public body's response to OGEC. A complaint alleging violations of the public meetings law that is filed with the Commission under ORS 192.685 will be construed as a complaint against all members of the governing body, and cases will be opened for each member of the governing body. Once a response is received, or 21 days have elapsed, whichever happens first, the person who filed the grievance can submit a complaint to OGEC along with documentation showing what has happened. OGEC will then consolidate the hearing of the members of the governing body at issue, unless one of the members objects to the consolidation. Individual determinations will be made for each member. If the complainant does not follow the grievance protocol or adequately document the steps that they have taken to initiate the grievance process, OGEC will make a procedural dismissal. The complaint can be refiled, or OGEC can take the matter up on its own. The OGEC can impose a civil penalty of up to $1,000 for a violation of any provision of Oregon's public meetings law. If that violation was done on the advice of the public body's counsel, the Commission may issue a letter of education. Each member of the governing body that is being penalized is personally liable. The penalty cannot be paid for or indemnified by the governing body and cannot be paid using public funds. Anyone affected by a decision of the governing body can also file a lawsuit in the Oregon Circuit Court for the county where the body ordinarily meets. The lawsuit must be filed within 60 days of the decision becoming public record. Decisions made by a governing body that violate public meetings law are voidable. However, if the decision is reinstated while the body is back in compliance with the law, it is not voidable and goes into effect from the date of its initial adoption. If the court finds that the violation was a result of intentional disregard or willful misconduct by a quorum of governing body members, it can void the body's decision. The court can order other equitable relief if it is available. If the court determines there was intentional disregard of the law or willful misconduct by the governing body, the court may award a successful plaintiff attorney payment of fees by the governing body or its public body. And the governing body members may be jointly liable to the governing body or public body for the fees paid.
And is this the same one you watched?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they just came out with it not too long.
Yeah. Sorry, the mouse is really sensitive.
I'll note that I'm still riveted.
You have now gained important knowledge about Oregon's public meetings law. After completing this training, you should be able to confidently determine when public meetings are required under Oregon law and identify which groups qualify as public bodies and governing bodies. You can now explain the specific reporting requirements that must be followed for public meetings. And you understand the circumstances under which executive sessions are permitted. If you have questions about this content, please reference the following sources. The Oregon Government Ethics Commission, OGEC, is able to provide information. 503-378-5105. Mail at ogec.oregon.gov. The Oregon Department of Justice provides the Attorney General's Public Records and Meetings Manual 2024. https://www.doj.state.or.us/public-records-meetings-manual/. If you have specific questions about your situation, consider seeking legal advice.
Okay, Vice Chair, I think we are ready to.
That's it?
Yes, so we are ready then to have a motion and to adjourn.
Oh, I don't know. Can we watch that again?
I watched it twice.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Can I just ask a quick
Yes.
question for everybody who has more experience with this than I have? How much of that material changed? So it wasn't clear to me. I mean, it seems kind of logical. It seems consistent with some other things.
I don't think it didn't change much at all, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm assuming more of the ORS.
that would be the only thing, but the actual, as it applies to us,
The nuts and bolts of
it
it.
hasn't changed.
Mhm.
I'm surprised we didn't actually talk about this, sir.
I am too, yeah.
That was, it's a ridiculous law. but-
Jim, did you have any feedback?
Well, that part of the reason that they might not have discussed the serial meeting is that there's a current legislation going through it's sitting on the governor's desk. That does change serial meeting law, so they might have decided they're not going to address it until they figure out whether she vetoes it or not. Because the governor did signal an intent to veto, so that there could be some stuff going on there. We are a good board. We follow the rules. Boards, none of which we were involved with in the past, did get slapped by a government ethics complaint. And so our best opportunity is to follow these rules and be above board and be transparent. And I appreciate their due diligence on all of our stuff.
Yes.
Do I understand that up to a $1,000 fine can be assessed and charged to the individual?
Mhm.
And that cannot be paid by
Yes.
the agencies? Yeah.
Correct.
And that's another reason why the minutes are so important. So for instance, today we'll document who left and at what time, because if things happen, then it's documented who was actually in the room when, if we were happened to be outside of what is required for public meeting law.
So I should have left early.
Now, they
Thank you. I appreciate you guys sitting through that.
had to sign something. Are we gonna have to sign something for this group too?
I haven't received that as something needed, but we've got video proof right here that you're here and documented and
Okay.
Jim on the call as well. So thank you. It's much easier to do it this way and get it done as a little work session versus trying to get everybody a login and getting it all figured out. So thank you for doing that.
And with that, do I hear a motion?
Yes.
Second.